Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another episode of Added Time, answering your questions that you kindly sent in yesterday. I'm going to be getting into those, but before I do, want to ask you, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. But let's get into your questions because there are quite a few to get through. So let's start firstly with this one from Samuel, who asks, Aspi and Georgie both are likely to be on the bench next season. Who do you think will have the captaincy role when they are? That's a really interesting question. It's difficult to tell because you would go for someone older. I can't expect to see any of the likes of, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori taking that captaincy yet. Reece James, Ruben maybe is a little bit older than some of the others, but still 23, 24. I preferably want a captain to be, 26 going up there, in age. And then you're sort of looking at how that team would shape up. And that's a difficult thing to answer because if we're thinking of a first team, and sort of the first team I'm thinking of for next season, some of the older players within there would be the likes of Mateo Kovacic, the likes of N'Golo Kante. If Rudiger's still a centre-back at Chelsea and is still trusted by Frank Lampard next season, I could see him taking that leadership role, if I'm being honest, because left back, if there's a new player there who's quite young, if you've got a right back in Reece James, Kepa's still quite young in goal, if both of those players aren't featuring as heavily. So I'd probably go with someone along the lines of Rudiger, maybe if he's still a key player next season. Simon asks, if you had to pick one, who was more important to Chelsea when playing and why? John Terry or Frank Lampard? This is a very difficult question. Both, JT, of course, for his immense leadership skills, not only leadership skills, which were second to none, but also being the defender he was, the world-class legendary defender he was, which helped Chelsea in so many occasions and being a key figure. Both players being key figures in that iconic spine of Chelsea's team for so long. It's really, I would just go based on personal preference, and Frank Lampard's my favourite player of all time. So I'm going to say Frank Lampard. But I'm pretty sure you'd ask maybe, 20 people. I think it'd be split down the middle, to be honest, because you cannot underestimate what JT gave to Chelsea for the longevity. I was recently writing something for this CFC fanzine about JT that you can check out when it comes out, which was about his longevity. And I think that's so impressive. So really tough question, but a good question to ask there. Alex Cook asks, out of all the strikers we've been linked with, who would you like to see the most? That's a really interesting question. I think just based on... See, it's easy to say the likes of Aubameyang. It's easy to say the likes of maybe Martinez or Dembele. I'm actually going to go with Dries Mertens. I think that'd be a really good signing. I think it really would. I think based on the type of players you're going to get, I've spoken a lot about him in recent days. I think it would be a really good addition to Frank Lampard. And like that first question about leadership roles, even of course it would be a new player, maybe Mertens could be a leader in some ways. And I like having those older players in the team if you're going to lose the likes of Willian and Pedro this summer. So I'm going to go Dries Mertens. I think that'd be a really good and astute signing for Chelsea this summer. Daniel Sinclair asks, if Chelsea could sign A, Koulibaly, B, Chilwell, or C, Mertens, who would you go for? Of course, just talking about Mertens, Koulibaly, what an incredible player. Ben Chilwell, because it's such a key position. It's so difficult. You go into, these are three major positions that Chelsea need to strengthen pretty soon. Do you go with the strength of Koulibaly? Do you go with the agility of Ben Chilwell, the skill of that area and why it's needed refreshing for so long? Or do you go for the potential goals of Dries Mertens? I'm going to go Ben Chilwell because I think left back is an area that needs to be top of the list this summer. But I'm sure everyone will have different answers to that. But I'm going to go Ben Chilwell. Baggy TV asks, and this is sort of follows on from the previous question, theoretically speaking, if we sign Koulibaly, which current centre-back would be on the way out? Another really difficult question. I don't think Fikayo Tomori, because I think that's a future player. I don't think we should be selling that player. Maybe at worst you loan him out, but I still can't see that. I think Frank Lampard trusted him a lot earlier in the season. Rudiger, we heard recent rumours about him extending his contract at Chelsea, and apparently Chelsea wanted to extend that contract. Kurt Zouma, I think, has been one of Chelsea's best performing defenders this year. Andreas Christensen, for me, is always the one that I think pops up because I think it's a 50-50 for me with Christensen. I think if he gets that chance and takes it, I think he can be an amazing defender for Chelsea. But he's never really had that trust, I don't think. He's never really been given that full run in the team yet. And until that happens, and let's hope it does happen at some point, then you'll finally find out how good Christensen is. But that's a player who, for me, I very much could see on the way out, because I think it comes to a time in his career where he thinks, am I going to get the opportunities here or am I not? Am I going to have to move elsewhere to finally get first team football? So I'm going to say Christensen, maybe, just based on the fact that maybe personally for him, he may see his future elsewhere. Adrian asks, do you see Ziyech as our main free kick taker next season? Potentially, not only for the skill within Ziyech, and we've seen his free kick taking ability firsthand, pretty deadly in a dead ball situation. And especially if you're losing Willian, who's been a free kick taker for a long time. We know Ross Barkley has taken free kicks in the past with Chelsea. Marcus Alonso. If Alonso's not a main player, which I don't think many of us expect he will be next season, you're going to need someone to be a good free kick taker. And Hakim Ziyech, if he's going to be more prevalent as a player, a first team player next year and playing a lot of games, I definitely think Ziyech, not for the quality, but just based on who would you give that role to in the pitch. I'd say apart from that, Mason Mount maybe, but I'd say definitely Ziyech is right up there in terms of a contender if we were to lose Willian in the summer. Manhandled CFC asks if you could sign either a left back or a centre back, which would you choose? Pretty simply, left back. I think it's top priority for Chelsea this summer. Tom asks to keep Kepa or not to Kepa. Should we keep Kepa? Yes, we should. And finally, Elias asks, Ancelotti's title winning season or Conte's title winning season? A bit like the earlier question about Frank Lampard and JT, really difficult to answer. Both have a lot of treasured memories within them. Of course, Conte is the most recent, and Conte, that 13-game winning run, I remember being at that Man City game where really, I think after that win, I think a lot of us turned around and thought, actually, Chelsea can go on and win this title. But Ancelotti, the amount of goals that... I'm just going to edge it to Ancelotti because Ancelotti's team did win the double. I know we're only talking about Premier League here, but I think the fact it was so impressive, the amount of goals that team scored, and the fact in that last winning run of the season, the amount of times Chelsea were just absolutely obliterating teams. The 7-0 against Stoke, I think 7-1 against Aston Villa, the 8-0 on the final day. A pressured day where it could have gone either way, where Chelsea just went out there and absolutely demolished Wigan. So impressive. And that team, I think, is one of the best compiled squads. Probably the only squad in the modern era that can compete with the 0405 squad, the 09-010 squad. The amount of quality within that squad was incredible. Conte as well was incredible as well. But I think Ancelotti, brilliant. And as well, Ancelotti, just to add another point to it, I think had a better second season than Antonio Conte did and was able to keep Chelsea still in a title race of some kind, which Conte wasn't able to, of course. So that is it for this edition of Added Time. Thank you so much for your submitted questions. Really cool to answer them once again. And I'll be doing the same next Monday. So if your question didn't get answered, please submit it again next week. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.